A substance found in the overwhelming majority of American homes, consumed at nearly every meal by most Americans, is one of the most significant dietary contributors to chronic kidney disease, hypertension, and kidney stone formation in the country. It is almost never discussed in the context of kidney health. Today I am naming it, explaining what it does, and giving you a precise plan to eliminate it. I'm Dr. James Whitaker, board-certified urologist, and today I'm naming something specific, important, and commonly overlooked, a dietary substance that is a leading contributor to kidney damage in the United States and that most people never think about in the context of their kidney health. That substance is sodium. But the critical insight I want to give you today is not about sodium in general, but about where it actually comes from in the modern diet, because this is the knowledge that makes practical reduction possible. Most people, when asked about reducing sodium intake, immediately think about the salt shaker. They stop adding salt at the table, they salt food less during cooking, and they believe they have addressed the problem. But the research consistently shows that only 11 to 12% of dietary sodium in the American diet comes from salt added at the table or during home cooking. The remaining 88 to 89% comes from processed, packaged, and restaurant foods, and it arrives in amounts that are frequently undetectable by taste because the sodium is embedded in complex flavor matrices that mask its perception. The average American adult consumes approximately 3,400 milligrams of sodium daily. The American Heart Association recommends a maximum of 2,300 milligrams for the general adult population. For individuals with hypertension, kidney disease, or diabetes, conditions that are common in the men watching this channel, the recommendation is 1,500 milligrams or less. That means the average American is consuming between 1.5 and 2 times more sodium than recommended for high-risk individuals. And because the excess comes predominantly from processed foods rather than from the salt shaker, it is largely invisible, unrecognized by the individuals consuming it. Let me explain the mechanisms through which this excess sodium harms the kidneys, because understanding the biology makes the practical importance clear. Mechanism number 1. Blood pressure elevation and glomerular hypertension. The kidneys maintain electrolyte balance by selectively retaining or excreting sodium and the water that follows it. When dietary sodium intake is chronically high, the kidneys must process and excrete a larger sodium load daily. To do this, they retain more water alongside the sodium, a physiologically appropriate response that has the unfortunate systemic consequence of expanding blood volume and elevating blood pressure. Chronically elevated blood pressure subjects the kidney's own filtration units, the glomeruli, to sustained elevated hydrostatic pressure. This glomerular hypertension is one of the most damaging forces available to kidney tissue. It produces mechanical stress on the glomerular basement membrane, promotes protein leakage into the urine, proteinuria, and stimulates a fibrotic response, the second leading cause of kidney failure in the United States. Mechanism number 2. Urinary calcium excretion and kidney stone formation. For every additional gram of sodium excreted by the kidneys, approximately 20 to 25 milligrams of calcium is obligatorily co-excreted alongside it, a phenomenon called sodium-driven hypercalciuria. Calcium is the primary mineral component of the most common kidney stone type, calcium oxalate stones, comprising approximately 80% of all kidney stones. When urinary calcium concentrations rise because of high sodium intake, the urine becomes more supersaturated with calcium-containing compounds, dramatically increasing the probability of calcium crystallization and stone formation. Multiple well-conducted clinical studies have demonstrated that reducing dietary sodium is one of the most effective single interventions for reducing kidney stone recurrence, more effective in most patients than reducing dietary calcium, despite the calcium content of stones, because it is the kidney's handling of calcium that is the critical variable. Mechanism number 3. Direct renal hemodynamic effects independent of blood pressure. High sodium intake produces changes in kidney blood flow dynamics that promote damage beyond and independent of its systemic blood pressure effects. These include increased afferent arterial dilation in the glomerular microcirculation, which increases intraglomerular pressure even when systemic blood pressure is well controlled pharmacologically. This is one reason why dietary sodium reduction is recommended even in patients whose blood pressure is controlled with medication, because medication may normalize systemic pressure while doing nothing to address the intrarenal hemodynamic consequences of high sodium intake. Please subscribe to this channel right now. I'm Dr. James Whitaker, and this kind of precise, mechanism-level medical information about kidney protection is exactly what I produce every week. Hit subscribe, hit like, and comment below. Do you currently know approximately how much sodium you consume daily? Have you ever tracked it? Tell me honestly. Now let me show you exactly where the sodium is hiding in the modern diet, because this is where practical change becomes possible. The categories I am about to describe account for the vast majority of the hidden sodium that most men are consuming without awareness. Bread, rolls, and baked goods represent the single largest source of sodium in the American diet, not because they taste salty, but because substantial amounts of salt are added during manufacturing for fermentation control, flavor enhancement, and shelf life extension. A single slice of typical commercial sandwich bread contains 150 to 250 milligrams of sodium. 2 slices for a sandwich delivers 300 to 500 milligrams before any filling is added. Add 2 ounces of deli turkey, which can contain 400 to 600 milligrams of sodium per serving, and a standard sandwich delivers 800 to 1100 milligrams of sodium. This is not an extraordinary or unusual meal. It is a typical American lunch. Canned and processed soups are among the highest sodium per serving categories in the grocery store. A single can of condensed soup, the type that is diluted with an equal volume of water before serving, typically contains 800 to 1800 milligrams of sodium per prepared serving. The widely recognized, ubiquitous chicken noodle soup variety contains approximately 890 milligrams per serving, nearly 60% of the 1500 milligram recommendation for high-risk individuals. Restaurant food. Fast food, casual dining restaurants, sit-down establishments, takeout from virtually all cuisines, is prepared with sodium amounts calibrated for palatability rather than health. Salt is the most inexpensive and effective flavor enhancer available, and restaurant operators use it liberally. A single restaurant entree from a casual dining chain commonly contains 1,500 to 3,000 milligrams of sodium. A meal with appetizer or bread, entree, and a side dish can easily deliver 4,000 milligrams or more, nearly 3 times the maximum recommended daily intake for kidney disease patients. For men who eat out frequently, which describes most working-age and retired American men, restaurant food represents the single largest modifiable sodium exposure. Condiments, sauces, and flavorings are extremely concentrated sodium sources that are used in quantities far exceeding standard single-serving portions. A tablespoon of soy sauce, a common condiment for stir-fry and Asian-inspired dishes, contains approximately 900 milligrams of sodium. Worcestershire sauce, fish sauce, and many hot sauces are similarly concentrated. Teriyaki sauce, hoisin sauce, and commercial pasta sauces add hundreds of milligrams of sodium per serving. Cheese, nutritionally valuable for calcium and protein, is a concentrated sodium source that most health-conscious eaters underestimate. Processed cheese and cheese products, American cheese slices, cream cheese spreads, are often higher still. For men eating multiple servings of cheese daily, this contributes meaningfully to total sodium load. The practical reduction strategy, concrete and immediately implementable. Step 1. Cook at home from fresh, unprocessed ingredients as much as possible. This gives you complete control over every gram of sodium in your food. Season with herbs, lemon juice, garlic, onion, black pepper, cumin, turmeric, and other spices, none of which contribute significant sodium. Your taste preferences will adapt to lower sodium levels within 2 to 4 weeks as your salt taste receptors recalibrate to a lower baseline. Step 2. Read sodium content on every nutrition label before purchasing packaged foods. Set a personal rule. Any packaged food with more than 400 milligrams of sodium per serving is high sodium and requires a lower sodium alternative or elimination. Any food where sodium or salt appears in the first 3 listed ingredients should be a rarely purchased item. Step 3. When eating at restaurants, which is realistic to do occasionally, request modifications. Sauce on the side, no added salt during preparation, lemon and olive oil in place of pre-made dressings. These requests are common and reasonable. Step 4. Replace high-sodium packaged snacks, chips, crackers, pretzels, salted nuts, with fresh fruit, raw vegetables, unsalted nuts, and plain yogurt. Within 4 to 6 weeks of consistently maintaining intake below 2,000 milligrams of sodium daily, most men notice visible changes. Reduction in ankle and leg swelling as retained fluid is mobilized, improvement in blood pressure readings, and, in men with pre-existing kidney disease, often improvement in eGFR on repeat blood testing. Over the years that follow, the cumulative benefit of reduced glomerular hypertension, reduced urinary calcium, and reduced kidney inflammatory mediator production is genuine protection against kidney function decline and stone recurrence. I'm Dr. James Whitaker. Begin reducing your sodium intake today, not by avoiding the salt shaker, but by addressing the hidden sodium in processed and restaurant food that is causing the real damage. Subscribe for weekly medical content. I'll see you in the next video.